Hello everybody, my name is Quinn and welcome to my channel. So today I am going to be doing my May/June wrap-up. I decided to combine them because I only read 3 books in each month and I didn't really feel like that warranted 2 separate videos. I only read 3 books each month because in May I was finishing up my spring semester of college as well as doing an internship at the same time, and then I came home and was working almost full-time at my summer job, and I was also doing my internship at the same time and was working like 50 to 60 hours a week from about the mid-May to the end of June, so I was very busy in those months, but it was completely worth it for the experience. That's why I only read 6 books, but we're just gonna jump right into it. The first book that I read in the month of May was Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. This follows 3 friends from Australia as they go to SuperCon, which is kind of like a Comic-Con sort of style event that is in California. Our main character, Charlie, is a famous vlogger on YouTube. She just started a movie and now she's promoting that movie at SuperCon. Charlie is Chinese Australian. She is also bisexual, so there's a lot of representation in that. And then her best friend Taylor has Asperger's. So there's a lot of representation in this book. A lot of different people can find themselves represented. For that aspect, it's great, but sometimes I felt like there was just so much diversity trying to be packed in that the plot kind of took a back burner, in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciated the diversity and it was so well developed, but I wish the plot had been just as well developed. I liked the relationships, they were cute, they weren't anything spectacular, and neither was the plot, so that's why I only ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read should be no surprise. It was my most anticipated book of the year, and that was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I was actually a little disappointed by this book, if we're being completely honest. I had hyped this up in my mind so much. I thought it was going to be amazing, and don't get me wrong, it was really good. I still gave this 4 out of 5 stars, but it was not as good as Akamath, in my opinion. I thought this book suffered from pacing problems. I thought that instead of the next 3 books following separate characters, we could have followed Feyre's story from another 3 books. If you want to hear exactly kind of what I thought, Thoughts on Tomes actually did an amazing video and kind of summed up all of the thoughts that I had on this book, and I'll leave that in the description down below if you want to go watch that video. I think this book suffered from pacing. I think that there are some scenes that could have been a lot more drawn out. I think that we kind of went from one thing to the next very fast. I think that there should have been a lot more death. Not that I wanted any of the characters to particularly die, but I think I needed a character to die to feel like this war was actually really happening. I really loved some individual scenes in this book. I loved seeing all of the courts. I don't think Feyre's development was as great in this book as it was in A Court of Mist and Fury, but I still really enjoyed this book. A lot of the scenes individually I really liked, but as a whole book together, I don't think the pacing was as it should have been, and I think it just could have been taken a lot farther than it was. So for those reasons, I was only able to give it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read I got from my, I believe, February Owl Crate, and that is Keira Ball by Stephanie Garber. The weird thing is, I only got 3 months of Owl Crate subscription. I got December, January, and February for my birthday, and surprisingly, I didn't like any of the books that they included, and this was no exception. I was not very crazy about this book. This book is about a character named Scarlet. Honestly, don't remember. Don't really care to look in the book. Her sister gets kidnapped by this ruler of this game called Keira Ball. A very magical, interactive experience where you don't really know what's real and what's not. And every year there is a subject of the game, a task, a mission to be completed. And this year it is to find Scarlet's sister before she dies by the end of the game, something like that. Whoever wins the game is granted a prize, and this year it is a wish for whatever they want. I really didn't like this book, one, because I thought the magic system was a little wishy-washy. I thought it really wasn't that developed. I didn't like the relationship between the 2 main characters. I didn't like the main character. I didn't like her sister. I thought all the characters were kind of annoying. I also don't like that this book's set up for a sequel because I really feel like it's unnecessary. I think I gave this 3 or 2 stars. Can't really remember. Looking back, I'd probably give it like a 2.75 because I really didn't enjoy it, but it was a quick read. So if you want to try it, definitely try it, but I don't think it was for me necessarily. The first book that I read in the month of June was Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. I really enjoyed this book. I didn't think that I was going to. I was a little hesitant going into it. I ended up really enjoying it. It follows a character from the Mortal Instruments. I can't tell you who because that would be spoiling it just in itself. So I can't tell you a lot about this, but it follows that character's experience at the Shadowhunter Academy. It's a series of novellas. I thought each of the novellas novellas stood really strong on its own, but they also really go well cohesively as an entire book. There's some that I definitely liked more than others. I definitely liked the last half of the book more than the first half, but I still gave this 5 stars because Cassandra Clare literally has me laughing out loud during a book, and that does not happen. I was also cheering up at the end. If you're thinking about whether or not you should read this book before you read Lady Midnight, I would say that you absolutely should. You don't really need to read it before Lady Midnight, but your comprehension and picking up on clues within Lady Midnight will definitely be aided if you read this book first. So I would definitely recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. The next book I read actually took me the whole month of June to complete, and that was Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I didn't hate this book, but I didn't absolutely love it. I just kind of felt kind of meh about it, and there were certain aspects I didn't really like. This book follows 2 characters from Nigeria and their experiences immigrating out of Nigeria. One immigrates to America and the other immigrates to Great Britain, and their experiences as to how their nationality and how their race plays into immigrating to those 2 new countries. So it is an important look at race and how we view race and how we deal with race, but I don't think this book was particularly interesting in the plot. I found the plot to be extremely boring and mundane. This book doesn't look like it, but it's almost 600 pages long. It just has major pacing issues. I thought that it could have been probably half the size that it was. It follows these characters for probably like a good 15-20 years of their life, and I just felt that it was kind of unnecessary in certain portions. I found the main character to be extremely dislikable. She kind of promotes cheating in 2 different instances in the book, and by the end she's very arrogant, and I just really didn't care for the main character. There's supposed to be a romance in this book, but I wasn't really feeling the connection between the 2 of them. I wasn't rooting for them to get together. As an exploration of race, I think this book is really great, but I think that it could have been written in an essay format and been much more successful, just because I didn't like the characters, the plot, or the pacing. I ended off June on a good note with a 5-star read, and that was Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. I absolutely loved this book. It is the perfect summer contemporary if you are looking for a beach read. This book follows Bailey, and Bailey has recently moved in with her father across the country to California. She's been talking online in a movie forum with this guy Alex, and they've kind of been bonding and kind of sort of flirting back and forth, but Bailey has had a very bad experience with the internet and meeting people on the internet before, so she doesn't really want to go and meet him despite his invitations to go visit him and go to this film festival with him. But little does he know that she's actually moved to the town that he lives in. Bailey knows that she's moved to the town that he lives in, but Alex does not. While she's moving there, she's kind of trying to find out who he is around town, but she also starts this job at a museum and starts to fall for one of the guys there. This book is so adorable. It's so cute. It also really talks about relationships in a healthy way that I think a lot of teens should read about. There's just such great communication. I think it depicts sex in a really real way. It's not this like losing your virginity is the end all be all of the world. It's just a very healthy relationship that I feel like a lot of teens could benefit from. I would definitely recommend this book if you're looking for a book that deals with some serious topics, but it also is just really overall cute, romantic, and give you all the feels. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a cute summer contemporary. So those were all the books that I read in the months of May and June. I hope that you liked this video. Please leave a comment down below of what you read in May or June, as I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!